Schrock Innovations presents
Nebraska's #1 independent computer repair company.
with offices in Omaha and Lincoln. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, and Papillion. Those service centers are locations where you can get your computer fixed. You can get your data recovered if your hard drive has failed. You can get your business or organization, or maybe just yourself, a website if you're looking for one. If it touches technology, it touches everything at Schrock. And one of the things that we have going on right now is we're building a new Papillion service center. And there's a lot of factors that go into why we're doing it. I've explained a lot of those in Aftershock. Some of them aren't fit for prime radio. You know, I get an hour on the air, and so I don't want to, fill it up with a bunch of useless Schrock trivia knowledge that you don't ever care about. But for those of you who want to know, if you listen to the Aftershock after the show, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. You can actually hear there how all this kind of behind the scenes stuff. So I'm going to check on my audio levels here, and we're going to make sure that we're sounding good over there on Facebook, where we are streaming live. You can watch the show as well as listen to it. You know, you might say, why would I want to watch a radio show? That's kind of silly because Thor has a face for radio, so why would I want to mess with that? You know what? I've had people tell me on Facebook that it's a completely different experience for some unknown reason. So, yes, today I'm wearing a purple shirt, and the lighting in here makes it look like kind of mud brown. So I don't know. It's like the mystery lighting in the studio makes my shirts look different colors. So I don't know. But yeah, if I wear like navy or black, it comes out purple. So I guess once I learn the colors, it's kind of like re-educating your eyes. Like, no, that's not purple. And they tell you that enough times, you're like, that's not a purple shirt anymore. All right. 866-496-8772. Those are the numbers for you to call into the program. If you ask a question or make a comment, we'll put you in the drawing for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Now, yes, I'm trying to bribe you into calling. But on the other hand, a lot of people don't call the program because they fear that their question is kind of silly. It's a stupid question or something. It doesn't have any relevance. That's not true at all. Your question is important because if you have that question, lots of other people also have the question. When we're looking at this new Papillion Service Center, the thing that built Schrock from the beginning is our focus on service, our focus on innovation. And, we're going from a time where people had 2, 3, 4 computers at home as a regular thing. Like you might remember a time when you had more than one computer in your house, and maybe you're down to 1 computer now. Or maybe you're down to 2 from where you were before. Maybe you had a desktop and a laptop, and now you just have a laptop. Things like that. And it's mobile devices have come along and reduced the need for people to have multiple computers in a lot of cases. Now, granted, there are still some things that desktops are explicitly better at. Any kind of high-end production work, while laptops can do that work, desktops are the wheelhouse for that. Portability obviously is a laptop's domain. If you want to compute anywhere you want to go and you travel a lot, a laptop is the computer for you. Ironically enough, if you're kind of afraid of computers and you don't want to mess with them, a tablet might be the best thing for you. But there are different challenges for each one. A tablet or a phone, you are literally buying a 2-year device, and after 2 years, you will begin to have problems. I have a Galaxy S7 smartphone, and the S8 Note is calling my name. Oh, brother, I'm just looking for a reason to spend $1,000 on a smartphone. Now, that sounds stupid to you, but no, literally, I have this internal, irrational, my phone does everything I want it to do. I want the new one, though. Why? I don't need it. But, oh, man, I want it, and I'm getting a little older now, so I can kind of step on that a little bit and say, okay. But no, my S7, as if it knows what I'm thinking, it's just a little bit slower than it was, a little more hesitation, a little bit like I stare at the screen for 1 or 2 heartbeats while I wait for it to execute what I wanted it to do. Now, coming from a computer background, that is an inexcusable delay for me in a computer. A lot of you are probably saying 1 or 2 heartbeats. That's a godsend. My computer is so wickedly slow that, as we've said before, you can make a sandwich, eat the sandwich, have after dinner coffee, and then come back and your computer might be booted up. So 1 or 2 heartbeats, though, give me a break. But I'm the tech guy, okay? So you can imagine if you haven't bought a new phone or tablet in like 4 or 5 years, how much the technology has changed and how much faster it is, because as these new apps and creations and updates for computers, for phones, as they come out, they assume you have the current device, not 1 or 2 generations back. And so if everyone makes software for you that assumes you have the current device, what ends up happening is your device runs slower than it has before. And I can see that slowdown. I'm getting so many more security updates now on my Android phone because Google is pushing them out that, oh my goodness, it's mind-numbing how many updates I'm getting. And every time I get one, my phone runs a little bit slower. So speaking of updates, there was something we touched on last week that I want to give you a personal word of warning about. This has happened to me now. I have an iPad at home, my daughter's iPad. It's an iPad Air 2. She's special needs, and so we have the iPad around if, we're at a restaurant or something and, the behavior just gets a little rough, and we can put on the iPad and watch a show or do something and kind of give her something to focus on, to lock in on. And then that way, we can get through the meal, or, if we're in a long car trip and she doesn't want to, she won't want to be in her 5-point harness anymore. She's 4 years old in a 5-point harness, so she doesn't want to do that anymore. As opposed to thrashing and, crying and screaming, she can watch Frozen. So it's a good alternative in the car. Trust me. Don't judge. Just trust me on that one. Except now the iPad is in a boot loop. What happened? It was working fine, and all of a sudden now it boots up. We get the Apple logo on a white screen, and then it blinks out, and it blinks back on with the Apple logo on the white screen, and it's crashing and rebooting. And so, we get on the internet, we look up all the potential causes for that, and sure enough, the number one leading cause for that is iOS 11. That's right, folks. If you have not updated your Apple device to iOS 11, I would strongly encourage you to not do so. I would strongly encourage you, because it's not just me having this problem. Lots of people, we warned about iOS 11 last week and 11.0.1 last week. I'm giving you yet another reason to stay on 10.3.3, okay? So if you have an Apple phone or an iPad, when it pops up and says, do you want to do the security update? There's a security update available. My special needs daughter hit OK. So I'm just saying, it happens to me too. The device just upgraded itself. No, it didn't. My daughter did that. But all she had to do was hit OK, and it went through and did it. Yay, passwords. Should have had a password. That's right. So unfortunately, whoop, there you go. It went through and did its thing. And it got to iOS 11. Now, as a result, literally I might have to buy a new iPad. And Apple doesn't care, because if you don't have a device that's current generation or one gen back, they literally don't care about you. Like, that you don't get support. Even so, I could go buy Apple Care. Like, I can go buy a refurbished one of these for like $300 now. I mean, that's how old it is. It's a few generations back. But she's 4, right? She doesn't need the Galaxy Note 8. You know what I mean? Daddy does. But now I'm buying a new iPad for girly girl, and Daddy doesn't get his phone. I'm just saying, life's not fair. 866-496-8772. Watch out for that update, folks. But we have a pretty cool show for you planned today. We got some good news. We got some scary news. Because, it's getting spooky kind of time of year, so we got to get some scary news in there. And also some interesting news. If you're still running Windows XP, I know there's like 4 of you out there that are still running Windows XP. If you're still running XP, you have one safe browser choice right now. You could, but Internet Explorer is totally not safe. And the version that comes on XP, the biggest one you can update to, 11, doesn't work on a lot of websites anymore. And so you have one browser. Chrome doesn't work on XP anymore. Mozilla Firefox is the only browser you can get that still works on XP. We have some news coming up on that. We've been talking about Kaspersky, and I've always stopped short of telling you. I've said, Kaspersky is a Russian-made antivirus product. Kaspersky has been at the root of any declaration or release that's anti-U.S. in technology. That Kaspersky is owned by a former KGB guy that is friends with Putin. All truth, all documented stuff. We have a spot that runs during our show that says we recommend Semantic Endpoint, but Kaspersky does a good job too. So there is no doubt these Russian guys know their antivirus. Now, I'm not entirely sure why that might be, that they know how to detect so many viruses and things. But on the other hand, hackers working for the Kremlin reportedly found sensitive information on the home computer of an NSA contractor who was using Kaspersky antivirus software. And as you might recall, there was a story last week. There's a law in Russia that requires cyber companies to help the Russian government whenever possible or requested. with intelligence matters. So if you're running Kaspersky and you have state secrets on your computer, you might consider a different antivirus, okay? If you're running Kaspersky and you are an 89-year-old grandmother of 5 with 18 grandchildren, Kaspersky is probably fine. They're not coming after your social security check, all right? But if you're an NSA contractor, you might not want to run Russian-made antivirus software on your computer. Wow. Yeah. Really, people, come on. All right, so we're going to talk about that on the program. Bug fixes coming out for the new iOS High Sierra on your Mac, so that's coming out. The good news side of things, 5G devices are coming. We've talked a little bit about this on the program before. 5G is like 4G, but way better. 5G is faster than the fastest Cox signal, aside from Gigablast, which you can't get in Omaha. But aside from Gigablast, that will print you 3D food according to the commercials and help Grandpa get off the couch and dance. And he looks strangely like the guy from Meet the Parents. They got a guy that looked so much like that guy that my employees thought it was that guy, and I had to tell them, no, that's not that guy. And they're like, oh wow, they couldn't afford that guy for a commercial, so they got a guy that looked like him. Kind of like if I was going to do a commercial and I wanted like Tom Osborne in my commercial, I probably can't afford Tom Osborne, so I'm going to get a guy that looks like Tom Osborne, right? And I'll just shoot him a quick shot from the side or something like, oh, Coach Tom is there. Oh, these guys must be great. See, I just did it. There you go. So if you can help the guy from Meet the Parents walk, you can help anybody walk. So, but we got some good news there on that front. 5G is a development center is being built for that. We're going to tell you about that. If you have Windows 7. There's a really interesting article that I found this weekend here. Google is complaining that Windows 10 patches put Windows 7 users in danger. And I thought, what? Like, if you get a Windows 10 computer and Microsoft patches a security vulnerability, that makes someone using a Windows 7 computer less secure. Come again? Headline, if Microsoft is going to patch Windows 10, it should patch the same bugs in 7. Oh, owie. So what you're telling me is Windows 10 users get patch preference. So the current version of Windows, which it kind of makes sense, Windows 10, they get the patches first. And then when Microsoft gets around to getting it to Windows 7 users get the patch. So it's just kind of one of those extra little kicks in the pants that, when you're ready, you might want to move off of Windows 7 and come on up to join the Windows 10 party up here. 866-496-8772. And then finally this morning, time is running out, actually. We have literally days remaining before the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update is released. So I do need to spend, I know I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I talked about it very briefly last week. I need to spend a couple minutes on this. So if you've heard it before, or maybe you've already purchased your copy of Schrock Safe Upgrade, please bear with me on this. I'm going to give you all the newest information that we have on the upgrade and what it's going to do for your computer. Funny story. If you go to SchrockInnovations.com and you hover over shop and you click on specials, okay, shop specials, you'll see the Schrock Safe Upgrade. And the lovely Kimberly does all of our art. And this is a download product, okay? You can't come into the store and pick up the box of software and take it home with you. This is something you buy it online, and then you get a digital download and you run it on your computer. So all the same, when you put a product on the internet, you need to have a picture with it. So how do you create a picture of something that doesn't exist in the real world? Remember 10 years ago when we all laughed at each other talking about how stupid people in the future were going to buy virtual goods that didn't really exist? I was talking about this with my wife the other day. I was one of the people that laughed about that, like the people who were buying like couches and video games and stuff, like, oh, look, for $1, I bought a beautiful couch in my game. And you're like, what are you, a moron? You bought a virtual couch you can't even sit on? Yeah, it was only $1, but still, you got ripped off. You can get better couches out on the curb in the rain, But no. Now look at today. We're all buying virtual goods. Anytime you buy video on Amazon, you're buying a virtual good. You're paying for Netflix every month, you're buying a virtual good. When you buy the Schrock Safe Upgrade, you're buying a virtual good. Look at us. Look at how far we've come. But if you go to there, I want you to do this real quick because you'll laugh, because you're going to laugh because you didn't notice it. Because I was going to give this guy a free copy for noticing this. Because literally when we got the graphic back from the lovely Kimberly, I said, this looks great. This looks fine. It's a box. It says Schrock Safe Upgrade on it, and it's got a picture of a computer. but the computer in the picture is a Mac. It's an iMac. And I'm like, somebody's going to notice this, that this is an update program for Windows, and there's a picture of an iMac on the box. Now, the box is not important, right? So it was one of those things where we snickered about it. We're like, we'll put it up anyway. It's all right. Because, it was real big rush that week. It was kind of a last-minute ask for the graphic. I kind of put the lovely Kimberly in a bad place, and said, I need this kind of like, do you have 5 minutes? And she's like, I need more notice for graphics than 5 minutes. Otherwise, this is the crap you get. And she hands it to me, and I'm like, this is beautiful. I love this. And she was like, seriously, your standards are so low, so low. But anyway, so we put the graphic up, and I get a contact form from customer@customer.net is his email address. So he used a fake email address, and he sends an email, and he says, why are you calling this an upgrade when it's an update? Number 2, why is there a picture of a Mac on your box? ? Not really inspiring. Okay. And that's the end of the email. And I thought to myself, well, heck, I want to give this guy a free copy for noticing because no one else has said anything. We've been talking about this for a month, directing people here. We started with 1,000 copies, and we're down just over like 65 right now. I mean, we've sold a ton of these things, and nobody has said a word that the picture on the box was a Mac. So I'm thinking this guy deserves a little freebie for his trouble. But he didn't give me his name. He didn't give me a phone number to call him back, and his email address is customer@customer.net. So, Keith, I know it was you. But anyway, so that was pretty funny, I thought. But the Schrock Safe Upgrade is a program that's going to silently and automatically, well, I shouldn't say silently, it's going to ask you some questions, but it's going to automatically and more importantly safely install the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update that is scheduled for release on October 17th. We've got to take a quick break, but I'm going to talk a little bit about this and what you can expect your computer to do. If it's going to happen to you on October 17th, if it's going to happen to you later than the 17th, if you're going to get it at all. And if you should download it, you don't really have a choice. If your computer decides it's going to download it, you're going to get it. The only kind of variable here is when your computer is going to decide to download it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that during the break as well. Also, your calls, 866-496-8772. More of Compute This coming up next.
Today's fragile computers need maintenance more than ever. Your computer needs a maintenance checkup every 6 months to last beyond its 18-month expected lifespan. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. And now Compute This Pro tip number 373. Everyone knows we're supposed to back up our computers and then check those backups periodically to make sure they're working. So why don't most people do it? Lots of people have different ideas about what backing up means. Is it copying files to a flash drive? Is it using a fancy backup program? And how do you know it's working anyway? Windows makes backups easy through free software that's already on your computer. Open your control panels and click Update and Security. Select Backup and choose from all of the available options to get a regular, reliable checkup. You'll need something to back up to, like a Schrock modular storage device or some other backup hard drive. Backups usually run once a week, but you can always change the frequency. The best part is that if your backup ever fails, you'll see a notification in the lower right corner by your clock telling you something's up. Backing up your important data has never been easier. So take a moment to back up your computer today. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, where we fix computers. We build websites. We recover data from crashed devices. We transfer things. We build new computers like the 2017 holiday special. That is going to be released here at the end of the month. We got some details coming up about that as well. And we take your calls, 866-496-8772, and put you in a drawing for a chance to win a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Mentioned earlier in the program, we're building a new service center in Papillion. It's going to be off 84th and Highway 370 in Midlands Place. So it's about a block further west than our current service center. I guess 72nd to 84th would be more than a block, but it's a long block, okay? There's not a lot of places to turn in between the two. But nevertheless, the new service center is going to have some pretty incredible technical innovations. I leaked a little bit about some of the stuff you could expect in the last Aftershock at the end of the program last week. But as you might imagine, the world is changing around us from a technological perspective, and there are some areas that Schrock doesn't cover really well right now, and we're going to change that. But the problem is, the service centers that we have are designed for computer repairs. They're not designed for other types of electronic device repairs. And so we're going to move into those areas. But to do that, first we had to get a new service center put together to test out some designs, and then we can implement those in all three service centers. So bottom line there is just a quick heads up that we got some cool stuff coming. And if you're interested, you can always go back on Facebook at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations and take a look at the last week's Aftershock, where I kind of tell you some of the dirt on what's going on there. All right, 866-496-8772. The Schrock Safe Upgrade is a program that, because the upgrade is free, right? The Windows 10 Fall Creators Update is a free update from Microsoft. You do not have to pay for it. You will get it, and I mean you will get it, if you're running Windows 10. If you're running Windows 7, you won't get it because it's a Windows 10 update. Remember how Windows 10 users get the new stuff that we talked about, and Windows 7 users kind of get left in the dust? This is for Windows 10 users. Now, the guy who was joking with us a little bit through the email about having a Mac on the thing said, why are you calling this an upgrade when Microsoft is calling it an update? Because technically, as Adam at Schrock Interactive, I said this, I laughed when this came in and said, guys, you got to hear this. And Adam kind of went a little nuts on me, and he was like, hey, this is, if you look at Microsoft's technical definition of what an upgrade is, this is an upgrade, not an update. And he starts talking about like command prompts and shells and things like that, and I'm just like, whoa, I didn't realize you had some pent-up aggression about this. It's an upgrade because you're getting a whole new version of Windows 10. I mean, that's the simple Thor Schrock way to say it. You're going from one version of Windows 10 to a completely different version of Windows 10. A patch doesn't give you a new version of Windows. You don't download a patch and go from Windows 7 to Windows 10. You download an upgrade. They take you from Windows 7 to Windows 10. This is an upgrade that is going to take you from one version of Windows 10 to another version of Windows 10. There's never going to be a Windows 11, all right? What this means is you're eventually going to just have Windows, okay? But in the meantime, these updates are going to be the way that Microsoft, or upgrades, if you will be how Microsoft makes sure that every Windows 10 user is on the same platform, so they don't have this fragmentation where you have some people on XP still, some people still on Vista, then you got a whole slew of people on Windows 7, and then you got a big chunk of your customers on Windows 10. Now, if I want to make software, I have to support 4 operating systems. Wouldn't it be easier for everybody if there was just one to support? That's what Microsoft is trying to do. That's why they're giving away these upgrades, because back in the day, if you wanted an upgrade from Windows 95 to Windows 98, or Windows 98 to Windows Me, or from Windows Millennium to Windows XP, you had to pay for those upgrades. Remember those days? You had to buy the software, and you get the disk and the box and the code and everything else. Well, now you get them for free. But the trick is, you don't have a choice about getting them. You're going to get them. So what's going to happen is on October 17th, people will begin receiving the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. Not everybody will get it on October 17th. That would be a physically impossible download for Microsoft to deliver to every Windows 10 user simultaneously. The other problem is, as we discussed last week, Microsoft is spacing out the downloads a little bit in an effort to, if something goes wrong, they're not going to brick everybody's computer, kind of like my iPad. That update, they just literally hose like half the iPads and iPhones on the planet. And they're like, whoops, sorry, I guess you're going to have to, factory restore it. And if that doesn't work, well, do you have AppleCare? Because, you're going to need that. Sorry. They don't want to do that like they did the last 3 times. So this time around, they're going to space it out a little bit. So they'll just break everybody's stuff more slowly. It'll be a little more difficult for people to figure out that it was the update that broke stuff because, it doesn't all happen at once. When you get everybody online talking about it at the same time and how they did the update and then everything stopped working, then that's when people get upset and they come into my service center and they're saying, I did the update. Thor, you told me to do the update. And I said, well, technically I told you weren't going to have a choice about doing the update, but you were going to do it whether I told you to or not, but okay. And I did the update and now my start menu is broken or my antivirus doesn't work or my screen flickers. There's been all these issues with the previous 3 updates. And Microsoft is going to do this twice a year from now on. So we really need to get to a point where these things come off without a hitch. And there's so many software platforms out there. There are so many different configurations that Microsoft can't possibly test them all. So here's the thing you're going to expect. With Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, if you have a big brand name computer, a Dell or an HP, for example, you're going to get this update first because so many other people have the same Dell or HP that you have that Microsoft said that's a good one to test on because that's like a couple percent of the computing population has that model of Dell. So let's test that model of Dell. And then let's test that model of HP. And let's go through and test that Acer computer. And let's test this Asus computer. And as they go down the brands by distribution, the updates will come out. Then at the end, they're going to have all the riffraff. All you guys out there who built your own computers or that have a modular computer, Microsoft, never called us about testing ours. But ours are fine. So no big deal. We only use good parts. So it's not like we're using the cheapo parts like some other major brands do. And that's why you have problems. Well, when you go get the upgrade on those computers, some of them are going to fritz. And when they do, it's going to be up to your local support staff to take care of those. If you have Schrock, it's not fun, but at least we make it bearable. If you have a warranty on your computer, which I would recommend anyone who has a modular computer, have a warranty on it, a no-hassle warranty. You can extend them if yours is expired. It costs $125. They're refundable. You get your money back if you don't use it. You can buy another one. But you should have a warranty on your modular computers because if one of these updates comes through and causes a problem, it's covered. So it's kind of nice. But in the meantime, the Schrock Safe upgrade is available at SchrockInnovations.com. There's about 65 or so left, a little bit less than that now. But we started with 1,000. And what it's going to do is it's going to install this update for you in a controlled environment the exact same way that our technicians would install it on the bench in the service center. And as a result, if anything goes wrong, you will have a warranty on that installation. On the other hand, if everything goes right, you're going to be really happy about it, okay? So the reason we're doing this is we don't want to have 1,000 people coming into our shop on the 17th of October. I already have customers that are asking me, so I should bring it in on the 17th of October. And they're saying, because I need it turned around pretty quick. And I'm saying, if you need it turned around pretty quick, you might want to bring it in on the 15th or the 16th of October and just leave it with us so it's on the bench when the update comes out. Oh, you're going to be that busy? I don't know. We pushed as many people as we could. We pushed 1,000 people to this software to keep them out of the service center so they could do it at home. But there are some people, number one, that don't want to buy stuff online. There's people who don't want to deal with the technical aspect of this. They just don't want to mess with it. You can drop your computer off. We charge about $30 more to do it in the shop, but we'll do it in the shop for you. But in the meantime, you can save some money. You can go to SchrockInnovations.com. There's still enough time that you can buy the Schrock Safe upgrade. Remember, you do need one for each computer in your house. Fewer of us than ever have more than one computer at home now, but a lot of us still have a couple. So if you have 2 computers in the house, remember to get 2 copies. If you have 3 computers, get 3 copies. If you're getting one for your grandson or your granddaughter or whatever, get a copy for their computer as well. Make sure you got this covered because honestly, we know what's going to happen after the 17th. We are going to get hit with customers that are having problems with their computers because this upgrade did something unexpected to something. And as a result, we'll fix almost all of those problems for people. We will fix them. But it's going to cost them an hour of labor, 2 hours of labor, just depending on what we have to do to fix it. If you have the Schrock Safe upgrade, you don't have to worry about that. So it's kind of like an insurance policy against a problem, but more so it's just a guarantee that, your stuff is going to be okay in the computer. It's going to do all the things that we would do in the shop before an update. 866-496-8772. Got to take our bottom of the hour break. Mike, stay on the line. Your call is coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations can't teleport technicians to you, but online help is only a click away with the Schrock Desk. Subscribe today and get unlimited help whenever you need it. Some people like desktops for their power and upgradability, but nothing rivals a laptop for computing on the go. But why should you have to sacrifice performance for portability? The innovators at Schrock want our customers to have it all, so we created a new kind of laptop, the solid-state laptop from Schrock Innovations. Solid-state laptops are built using the same frame and mainboards as regular laptops, but we've removed half of the moving parts while more than doubling the computer's speed. The result? Laptops that boot to Windows in 6 seconds or less, respond instantly to your commands, and can survive drops that put most laptops into the data recovery lab. Starting at only $499, solid-state laptops give you speed, reliability, durability, and performance for the same price most people pay for a cheap disposable laptop. The next time you're looking for a laptop, check out the solid-state laptops at SchrockInnovations.com or visit any of our service centers. Simple, solid, fast technology is what we do at Schrock. Compute This Pro Tip 299. There are enough mothballed computers in U.S. homes to give one to every man, woman, and child in the country. Many of these computers find their way into landfills where they can leak cadmium, lithium, and other nasty chemicals into the groundwater. Schrock Innovations is very proud of the fact that we recycle more e-waste every year than we create. You can drop off any old or broken computer equipment to our service centers at any time, free of cost. We only charge $15 just for monitors because they are especially difficult to process. No appointment is required, and we accept all computer-related equipment like printers, keyboards, speakers, and accessories. Additionally, the rare earth elements in computers can be recycled right here in the U.S. to reduce our reliance on supplies from foreign countries. Take a moment, drop off your old computer equipment today, and Schrock will make sure it's properly recycled and put to good use right here in the U.S. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Nate is now a tropical storm after making 2 landfalls last night as a hurricane. The weakened system now moving north. ABC's Victor Okendo is in Clanton, Alabama with the latest.
Much of Alabama, especially the central and southern part, under tornado watch throughout the rest of the morning. Some 59,000 customers right now without power. The bulk of them, according to Alabama Power, in the Mobile area. 56,000 of those customers coming from Mobile. So right now with conditions like this, people are being told to stay inside, shelter in place, stay safe. Although Nate has weakened, it is still packing quite a punch.
ABC's Victor Okendo. In Charlottesville, Virginia last night, chants by white nationalists. Police say 40 to 50 demonstrators gathered to protest a judge's ruling this past summer to allow the removal of a Robert E. Lee monument from the park. Charlottesville police say Saturday's rally was brief without any disorders. That after an August rally turned deadly when a man drove into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing one woman. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Today, mostly sunny skies on tap. Afternoon temperatures climbing to 77 degrees as winds move out of the south, then switched out of the north for this evening. This evening will be mostly dry and pleasant. Those temperatures will cool into the 50s in the overnight hours, and then will warm up to the upper 50s for tomorrow afternoon with the rain chances returning. With Omaha's most accurate weather team, I'm 6 News meteorologist Peter Sherwood on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
If you can dream it, Schrock Interactive's website developers can make it happen. Refresh your website, automate sales and marketing, and grow your business today with Schrock Interactive.
All right, we're back. Woo, pushing a lot of buttons here. 866-496-8772. Mike, you're next up on the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Good morning, Mr. Thor.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm hanging in there. I have a question for you. I bought that safe upgrade, even though it's still under warranty. But
Okay.
I just had in for maintenance checkup. Taylor brought it back and everything. Because I'd asked him, well, why can't you guys just put in that code while it's in there? He said, it'll be the 17th or after before you get the code. Well, what would happen if it comes up on your computer on the 17th and you don't have the code until then? I thought we were going to get the code before the 17th.
You will. Basically the Schrock Safe upgrade. I think the last thing we had to do in development, the software's done. We as I've mentioned before, our graphics department appreciates more notice than 5 minutes. So the Schrock Safe upgrade icons are done now, and so we got the icons in. I gave her like 6 hours notice on that one. So I mean, we should be fine, right? But no, we got the icons done, and so we're going to be actually releasing the Safe Upgrade program. So what's going to happen is in your Schrock account, you have a code right now for an install of Safe Upgrade, or for a use of Safe Upgrade. We're going to release the software to the Schrock accounts in the coming week. That way, that gives us like a whole, days and days and days for us to get all the download things figured out, get it all downloaded to the computer, get everything figured out. Then after that, if we have problems, then we can just deal with those problems. In other words, it's not the 17th and the updates are crashing down on people and they're like, oh, I can't install my Safe Upgrade. What do I do? You should have it installed well before the 17th. So there's going to be emails going out. You're going to hear me here on the radio. You're going to see me on the Morning Blend. You're going to see me on Facebook saying, hey, it's time to download your Schrock Safe Upgrade. And we're going to know who's downloaded it and who hasn't, because that's the whole point of the Schrock account, right? Then if there's somebody who forgets or messes up, we can go back and say, hey, why haven't you done this yet? And then we can creep people out, So basically, Mike, I really appreciate you taking the time to purchase that software and getting everything taken care of for it. And I know, I've known you for years, and you do everything exactly the way you're supposed to do. You get your maintenance checkups, you do everything right, and as a result, your computers last really well. Now, here's the thing. When you get a preventative maintenance checkup, that is preventative maintenance to try to prevent a problem from happening. It doesn't always do that. So it's really important. Like, for example, Drive Advisor. We installed Drive Advisor on people's computers whenever they come in for anything now. And then when they get home, if they have a problem with their hard drive, it alerts them. And we've had 4 people this week that have come into the service center who all had maintenance checkups in late August, early September. So about a month ago. And they have bad hard drives now. And it's not like something was bad in the water. We didn't cause the hard drives to go bad. But that just goes to show you, when I say they were starting to go bad, they went from 100% to 99%. So normally these are drives that would have gone like 6 months before they came in for their next checkup, or longer in some cases. And then we would have said, oh, look, it's a hard drive. It's 72% health. It's really, really bad now. Well, now we can catch it so early. It's kind of like if you can catch a cavity before it becomes a cavity. Well, is it a cavity? If a tree falls in a forest. So it's kind of cool. So it's good that you do all that stuff, Mike, and it's still good that you did the Schrock Safe Upgrade software, because a lot can change in a month on a computer. Having the Schrock Safe Upgrade is going to go through, it's going to check everything out, make sure it's okay. Then it's going to install this Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. The biggest thing that I worry about with people, and I know you have good backups of your stuff, Mike, but, folks, anytime you do an upgrade, this thing's going to warn you to do a backup. It's going to warn you, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure nothing bad happens to your computer during this upgrade. But you will have the option to continue the upgrade even if something bad is detected. You sure you want to try anyway? And some people are going to click yes, and when they do, if they lose everything, the warranty, we can fix your computer. I can go in there and make sure Windows is loaded on it. Now, if you have a bad hard drive, you have a bad hard drive. I'm not going to fix that for free, but it can be fixed. But it's not a warranty. It was bad when you started. Now, on the other hand, if it goes to install the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update, and then it comes back up with a brand new version of Windows, and all your stuff is gone, yeah, we're going to help you get that stuff back. So those are the kind of things that the warranty is good for. That's the kind of oh no situations that are going to cost you mondo money that you're really glad you have the warranty for.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you for the call, Mike. I appreciate it. And we've got you in the drawing as well for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. You can be like Mike, 866-496-8772. Those are the numbers to join us on the show. You can ask a question, make a comment, whatever your heart desires, give us a call here, and we're happy to help you out. Meanwhile, we've got a lot of interesting news going on here today. So let's jump into some of these stories. Probably one of the most interesting here is the Wall Street Journal. Kaspersky software likely used in Russian-backed NSA breach. hackers working for the Kremlin reportedly found sensitive information on home computer of an NSA contractor who was using Kaspersky antivirus software. So what they're saying is the Russians hacked into some guy's home computer who from his home computer was a remotely working contractor for the NSA, and for some reason he had sensitive information on his home computer, which I'm pretty sure is a no-no. But nevertheless, he was running Kaspersky for his antivirus software, and as a result, somehow the Russians were able to penetrate that computer. The Russian government stole valuable information about NSA surveillance and cyber defense programs, and after apparently hacking a contractor with the help of Kaspersky antivirus software, the Wall Street Journal reports, citing unnamed sources that are incredibly reliable, I'm sure. Hackers working for the Kremlin specifically stole information revealing how the NSA penetrates foreign computer networks and the computer code that it uses to do so. The journal reports they also stole information on how the NSA defends its networks inside the United States. The breach happened in 2015 when an unidentified NSA contractor transferred highly classified material to his home computer, which was using Kaspersky antivirus. I'm pretty sure, there are some people who got in trouble for this. What's her name? The girl that just... Oh, that's right. Reality Winner. I'm sorry. If your name is Reality Winner, you probably shouldn't try to steal classified documents in your pantyhose and take them home. Reality Winner? I mean, seriously? Her parents say she's a good person. I'm sure she is. Sure, she's a fine person. She only thinks about hating her country, 3 times a week? Like, she quantified it. I only think the United States is terrible 3 times a week. So I stuck top secret documents in my pantyhose and took them home. So last month, the government banned all federal agencies from using Kaspersky over these concerns. We brought you that story, and the federal government is saying they're no longer going to use Kaspersky, and none of their contractors can. And we said, why would they be doing this? There's got to be something behind the scenes here. And sure enough, I said, I suspect that it's because it's a former KGB guy, and there's this law that says that the Kaspersky has to help the Russian government, so on and so forth. And sure enough, here we go a week later, and boom. Let's see. In a statement, Kaspersky told the Journal that it's not been provided with any information or evidence substantiating the alleged incident, and as a result, we must assume this is another example of a false accusation. So they didn't say they didn't do it. They said that they haven't been presented with any evidence proving that they did it. Big difference there. 866-496-8772. If you're a Mac user, Apple has fixed 2 High Sierra password bugs. You may have heard about this when we talked about it last week. It's the first major update for the new Mac operating system since being released last month. Apple fixed 2 vulnerabilities that put passwords at risk. Let's see. The Synax Patrick Wardle. Wow. It's a name show today. Patrick Wardle and Reality Winner, who was credited with finding one of the new vulnerabilities. Got credit for doing so. The bug let an attacker grab and steal every password in plain text using a malicious unsigned app that was downloaded from the internet without needing the user's master keychain password. So to put this in perspective for PC users out there, let's say you have all your passwords saved on your computer in your browser. This is effectively somebody who found a way to steal all those saved passwords, except it's worse because your Mac keychain stores passwords not just for your browser but for all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it was bad. If you can steal someone's passwords in plain text, that's never a good thing. So that bug has been patched now. I think it's okay now to go ahead and upgrade to High Sierra. We talked about some of the new benefits of it last week. If you have a solid state hard drive, it's going to be phenomenal to upgrade to High Sierra. The upgrade might take a little bit longer because it's installing a whole new file system on your computer. If you have an older mechanical hard drive, you're not going to get that benefit. But in the future, almost all Macs are going to be solid state as well. 866-496-8772. Paul, you're next up on the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
I know how to play YouTube audio on a PC, but I want to play audio on an MP3 player. I have like a MP4 file on a PC that's like Groove Music.
Yeah.
What I want to do is, can I convert MP4 to MP3 and play it on an MP3 player?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's a VLC media player can do that. VLC is a very powerful media player. A lot of people, when Windows media player went bye-bye, they said, well, what should I use to play my stuff? And I said, VLC The VLC media player is amazing. You can get.
I'm familiar with that. So
yeah,
I
so
can do that.
yeah, they have a transcoding function in the file menu. You can go there and you basically take a file and you can change it into a new format. You can also do this the old-fashioned way. You can.
If I go into properties, I can change it to a VLC that I've got on PC.
Well, it's not quite that easy. You have it basically. It has to play the file, to play the audio, and as it's playing it, it transcodes it into a different format. So it's almost like dubbing a VCR tape. You got to watch the movie.
Okay.
But it can do it. It can do it at about 2 times. So it's almost like a slow fast forward as you watch the movie, but it's dubbing it. You can do the same thing with Audacity, which is a free audio editing program. You can play the file in Audacity, or play the file and then hit record in Audacity and record the speaker output from inside the computer. When you hear when you're listening to the Facebook version of Compute This, and you hear like the echo in the background, that's when I forget to turn off the stereo dubbing. So it's basically trying to play back itself, which causes a massive problem. But VLC is going to be the easiest way to do that.
Thank you very much.
Hey, no sweat. This is what we do. All right, 866-496-8772. Got to take the final break in our show. When we come back, Ericsson is launching 5G design centers in Texas. Why would they be doing that, and what does that mean for your cellular connectivity? Coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business. External hard drives are handy. You can back up multiple computers to them or even use them to move lots of data from one computer to another. Computer users have been buying the same old external hard drives for years. While our computers have been getting faster, we still do backups that take hours or watch epic progress bars creep by to move files. Schrock wanted more for our customers, so our innovators created the fastest external hard drives on the planet. Schrock modular storage devices are up to 50% faster than Seagate or Western Digital externals and are modular in the truest sense of the word. We can create whatever size and speed of drive you need for all of your needs, and all modular storage devices come with a data restoration guarantee. If you use our drives for backing up and your computer's hard drive fails, we'll restore your backup to your repaired computer for free. Fast, simple, and flexible technology solutions from Schrock Innovations. It's what we do. Compute This Pro Tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, final segment of the show. Thanks for staying with us today. You can watch live online at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. Also, all the stories that we cover on the program, as well as a few that we're not going to get to today, I link through those throughout the week. I don't try to link bomb you, on one day, like boom, 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 here's the book of stuff you should read today. But, we take the most interesting ones, and we'll put them up there on Facebook. So, for example, Ericsson, you'll see this one up on Facebook later on in full detail, but Ericsson's launching some 5G design centers in Texas. 5G is the next generation of cell phones. So when you think about like the first cell phones that were just, you walk and talk and the flip phone kind of thing, that was 1G. There was no data. There was no text messaging really. It was 1G. Then you had 2G. And 2G allowed limited data. You could have text-based browsers. You couldn't get pictures and stuff on the browser. You couldn't surf the internet like we'd become used to. But you could get text-based browsers and you could do text messaging. So that was kind of cool. Then you had 3G. And 3G was the first time that you could actually send big internet chunks through. It was almost like a dial-up modem on your cell phone, which was revolutionary at the time. Now most of us use 4G. 4G is almost like your older DSL connection. It's a fast enough connection that you can actually watch a video on your phone, stream it from Netflix or Amazon. You can do a lot of things that would have been inconceivable with 3G technology. And now 5G promises to take us to the next level, where you could actually have internet that is faster than your cable modem at home on your cell phone, which all of you people using Verizon jetpacks right now, oh my gosh, those things are such pains in the rear. But imagine if they were pains in the rear that at least were fast when they worked. You know what I mean? Like right now they're slow all the time, and half the time they don't work. So what if you could get them to work? Ericsson's 5G Center is going up in Texas, which will be used to develop and test microelectronics for 5G radio base stations. Ericsson Austin Application Specific Integrated Circuit Design Center. ASIC. Come on. They made up. ASIC is already an acronym, and they just made up another. All right. We'll provide jobs for about 80 designers by mid-2018 and encourage industry collaboration with nearby silicon fabrication plants in Austin to build the 5G chips. All right. According to Ericsson, these microelectronics are 100 times faster, more cost-effective, and more power-efficient than general computing processors. Okay, an ASIC chip. For those of you who don't know what an ASIC is a particular processor, an ASIC, an ASIC. It's a processor that's designed to do one very specific task. Now, your computer's processor is open. It can do all kinds of different tasks. But if I make an ASIC and I hardwire it to do one task and one task only, and it can put all of its essence of its being into doing that one task, that ASIC is going to whoop your computer's butt on that one task. But that's all it can do. It's a one-trick pony. But if your one trick is 5G communication, that's a pretty good trick. I'll take that trick. So that's pretty cool stuff there as well. So Ericsson, good job there, coming out with some new stuff. All right, so if you have Windows 7, the patches, are you getting the patches that Windows 10 users are getting? So here's the thing. When a vulnerability is discovered in Windows 10, Microsoft releases a patch for it. If that exact vulnerability can reverberate in its exact same form through Windows 8, 7, Vista, whatever, they may also patch those. Okay? Most of the time for Windows 7 and 8, they will patch them if the exact same vulnerability is present. Now, here's the problem. Windows 10's code is based on Windows 8's code. Windows 8's code is based on Windows 7 code. Windows 7 code is based on Vista, Vista based on XP, so on and so forth down the chain. So each time we get a new operating system, it's a derivative of the previous operating system, okay? Which means if I discover a new vulnerability in Windows 10, that exact vulnerability may not be around in Windows 7 because Windows 10 is different. It's a different operating system. There's different vulnerabilities there. But the core problem that allowed me to take control of Windows 10 is in the old code of Windows 7, that core problem. And if I know that that core problem is there, I can then extrapolate a new way to attack Windows 7 that wouldn't work on Windows 10, but would work really well on Windows 7. And Google's complaining that Microsoft's not patching for that. So they're saying they wait until a vulnerability is then released for Windows 7, and then they release a patch for it after the vulnerability. And Google is saying you could be more secure by releasing the patches, by anticipating that bad guys are going to do this, and release the patches ahead of time. I don't expect Microsoft to start doing that because Microsoft is going to make their current operating system the most efficient, the most secure. They're going to make the older versions secure when there's a direct attack or a vulnerability, but it'll be after the fact. You're going to get the best security by staying with Windows 10. In fact, the new Windows 10 Fall Creators Update improves the security and helps make your computer more resilient against those malware attacks that encrypt all of your data on your hard drive and then demand Bitcoin. Those are going to be, you're going to be much safer against those with the new version of Windows 10 than you would be with Windows 10 now or Windows 7 before this. All right, let's jump into those phones again. Frank, you're the next caller in the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Well, we've mentioned the holiday specials a couple of times in the last few weeks, but you've not given any details.
Yeah, I've been a little tight-lipped. We're going to be cracking out the prototype desktop, final prototype desktop unit. It's actually going to go to a customer's hands for him to experiment with and use and review for us on the condition that he has to come on the radio show and talk about it afterwards. And if he doesn't like it, he needs to talk to me first. and then we'll find out what's going on. But I've already been using one of the prototypes myself for the last couple of weeks, and I have to tell you, it is absolutely phenomenal. And I know I'm biased. Of course, I'm going to say it's phenomenal, but it's phenomenal. So to give you in a nutshell, holiday special this year, there's always two models. They always sell for $14.99. There's the desktop model and the laptop model. This year's laptop model is going to be a Dell. We went over that a few shows back. It was kind of a contest between Dell's Performance 15-inch Inspiron unit, their higher-end gaming quality unit, and then the Asus Republic of Gamers unit. And the Dell unit actually gave us, I mean, it was like two cupcakes that taste exactly the same, but one has better frosting. And the Dell unit had better frosting. And so they also had some other things that we could offer, like accidental damage warranties and things like that we couldn't get with Asus. So we're going to be able to offer those, which is kind of nice. So we're going with the Dell laptop. The Dell laptop uses the new DDR4 memory. It uses the latest generation Core i7 processor. It's going to come with 16 gigs of RAM. It has an HD screen that's 15.6 inches. It's got not only just a regular, if you have a password on Windows, with Windows 10 you can sign in with your face. But in the dark it doesn't work too well, unless of course you have an infrared camera, an IR camera, which the Dell unit has. So it's kind of cool. Little things, icing. Backlit keyboard, the whole bit. The desktop model is where all the fun is this year. The desktop model is completely new. So the desktop model is going to have the new Ryzen processors, which make every other computer, even Intel computers, look like a joke. I mean, it's amazing. 16 gigs of DDR4 memory as well, coming in the holiday special. 500 gig solid state in both models for the hard drive. One of the cool things, the holiday special is coming with a 3K monitor this year. It is the highest resolution monitor that we have ever sold with a computer package at Schrock Innovations. If you set this next to last year's holiday special monitor, again, everything this year, previous years we've had incremental improvements every year. A little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit faster. This year is a quantum leap in the desktop. The reason you haven't talked a whole lot about it is I've had to split attention with the Safe Upgrade software. But after the 17th, it's going to be all holiday special all the time. You're going to hear so much about it, you wish you never heard about it anymore. We're upgrading all the wireless devices in both units to be wireless AC this year instead of wireless N. All of the routers we carry at Schrock are now upgraded to wireless AC routers. Even all of the computers in our service centers have been upgraded to the next generation components. Don't worry, if you have one on order, you're getting the next generation components already. So I hope that answers some questions, Frank, but expect to hear a lot more about it in the next coming weeks. Alrighty, today's winner, $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate is Paul. Congratulations, Paul. Kathy will get that out to you on Monday. As I mentioned, all the stories will be going up at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. If you want to stay tuned there, we're going to do a quick after Schrock here, and then we'll see you at 9:45 on KMTV Channel 3 tomorrow for the Omaha Morning Blend, and next week for another edition of Compute This.
This is Nebraska's news, weather, and traffic station. This is News Radio 1110, KFAB, Omaha.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle.
Kind of quiet. We had some issues last week with volume. So I'm going to try to adjust it up a little bit, make sure that everybody can hear me. It was a little distorted last week is what I heard. All right, so Mark, if you would for me, let me know how the audio sounds now that I've switched inputs. All right, he's typing right now. So if you can't hear me, sit tight. We're going to fix it. If you can't hear me, great. But until I hear from Mark here, I won't get going too hard and heavy on anything, because my volume indicator tells me I'm being just super quiet. And last week, everybody said they were getting blown out of the room. So he's still typing. Let me make sure. How's after Schrock audio, Mark? Question mark. All right. Why did you change from KFA? Why did you change the KFAB phone numbers? I thought it might be a good aftershock talk. But yes, it would be. All right. So while I wait to hear if you can hear me or not, John asked, why did you change from the KFAB phone numbers? I thought it was a good, what's the deal? Why did you go with an 866 number? All right. Everybody can hear me. Good. All right. So there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, we used to do 2 shows every week, and I got an email about this week as well. We had a show here on KFAB that we did on Sunday mornings, and then we have a Saturday afternoon show we do on KFOR in Lincoln. KFOR is where Compute This was born. That is the nexus of where it all started. And we've had co-hosts through the ages there. We had Kobe Mack, just a radio legend in Lincoln. Dale Johnson, a news staple. He has been the newsman in Lincoln. He was the original anchorman before the movie. I mean, he was the real deal. And then Chris Goforth, who was single-handedly running almost all the operations over there for KFOR as well as a number of other studios. He was also the co-host of the program with us. And it was kind of nice to have a co-host on that show because it made it different than this show. This show is me, and I talk, and sometimes I go off on tangents. You know, my wife reminded me this week that I was talking a little fast last week. So, having a guy sitting across from you that can go like, when you're going too fast or too hard, that's a good thing. And so I really appreciated having Chris there. Well, Chris had an opportunity to move on to another position somewhere else that would allow him to spend more time with his family, which in this case was not one of those politician cop-out answers. Like literally he was working 60 hours a week. So getting to spend some time with his kid was a good plan for him. And so he took the other job, which left us without a co-host. The other thing is you may notice that we have really been pushing on Facebook, especially asking you to share this with your friends and your family members. And we're watching the people who come at us from out of state. We're watching what states they come from because we're looking for an indicator of where we should send the next Compute This show. We have to buy the airtime that Compute This airs on. So it's kind of like it's a cross between a commercial and an informative news source. I hesitate to call it an infomercial because it's not just info on our product. We're not selling you a great vacuum cleaner and talking about how you need a great vacuum cleaner. We do computer repair. We do all kinds of different device repair. We're going to be getting into mobile device repair here shortly in the next couple of weeks. So we do a lot of that stuff. And yes, we do need to have you come into the service centers and buy our products so we can stay in business and keep doing the show and things, feed our families and feed my employees' families. But on the other hand, the show is also, we try to make it pretty entertaining. And so we want to spread the show into areas where we do not have a physical presence. So Round Rock, Texas, Carol, we were looking at you. Nevada, we have lots of listeners in Vegas, and condolences to those listeners in Vegas this week. Obvious, I'm sure you've heard it a million times over, but our thoughts and prayers go out with you guys today and everybody that was involved with that. Where are some of the other states that we had? We have listeners in California. Ironically, they're all west of Nebraska. I don't hear a whole lot about like New Jersey, New York, Florida. I don't hear about that, which you'd think we would. But maybe everybody from Nebraska just moves west. They don't move east. I don't know. But we're looking to spread the show. And to do that, we need to have an 800 number where people can call in. Super secret is you can call the original KFAB numbers because our 800 number just forwards to KFAB studio lines. So you can still call, 402-558-1110 or 800-543-1110 and get through just fine. The 800 number just redirects. And then the other thing is we have to think if I'm dropping KFAB's numbers, number one, other stations in Nebraska won't appreciate that, like KFOR wouldn't appreciate me dropping, KFAB's call letters on KFOR. The FCC might not even appreciate that. Number two is the show airs in Lincoln at a time when I'm not in front of the microphone, and we're telling people to call the 800 number to get help. So having that 800 number, a number that we control, allows us to direct those callers to the service center so that they can get help on Saturday mornings when they call in, rather than just get leave a message for Thor and he'll talk about it next week on the show. You don't get that. You actually get a human being, which is what we're all about. It's about the service that we try to do. So those are the reasons there for the 800 number and some of the changes to the program recently. I'm interested in feedback. I've had a couple people kind of complain a little bit about the show in Lincoln not being a local show anymore. I'm in Lincoln as much as I'm in Omaha. I love both cities. There's this weird combativeness between Lincoln and Omaha, but the bottom line is we're here to help people. And the way that it shook out, KFOR's listenership is way down, like way down. Less than 100 people are listening to that station when we're on the air. There was a debate if we even stayed on the air there, let alone, re-aired the show that we did here. So going to the station, preparing a whole nother show, doing all the work surrounding that. There's a lot of cost involved in putting a show together. Doing that at a station where you're going to have 92 people listening, when those same 92 people also listen to the KFAB show every week, it didn't make a lot of sense. So we switched it down to one show. All right, so this is your opportunity to place questions. You can ask questions at facebook.com/rockinnovations. I'll answer them as quick as I can here. Right now, the only comment that I can see, it says good from Loanne. So I don't know what happened beyond that, because it only shows me like comments from right this second, unfortunately. So if you have a question, if you need something answered, let me know, and I'd be happy to go over it with you. Let's take a look at some of these stories we didn't get to on the show today. All right, we got to Ericsson, we got to the Google, we got to High Sierra, we got to Kaspersky, we got to... Oh, no, we didn't get to this one. If you're still using Windows XP, right now you can still use Mozilla Firefox to get on the internet, which is your only safe computing option left anymore. Excuse me, my voice is dropping. But basically that's going away in 2018. Mozilla announced an end of life for the extended support version of Firefox for Windows XP and Vista. So it's kind of funny. This thing is titled Windows XP users. It should be titled, there's more Vista users than XP users. So basically, you won't have a browser left if you're on XP or Vista anymore. And that's next year. So if you're in that boat, if you're using Windows Vista still, or heaven forbid XP, most people who are still using XP are either people who are not capable of learning a new operating system. And, so for example, we'll have a son or a daughter or a grandson or a granddaughter come in and say, I'm bringing in grandma or grandpa's computer. I know they're running XP. It's literally their lifeline out of the house. And they're like 95 years old and they won't learn anything else. I know it's not safe. I need you to make it as safe as possible for me and send me back out the door. And we don't argue with people when they ask us to do things. That's our job, is to provide service. And there are things that we can do to make XP safer than it is natively. There's nothing you can do to make it safe. But it's like, let's say you can be safer. What was I talking about the other day? Like, oh golly, in the 80s, like people's concern with children was so much less than it is now. For example, I was going to pick up my daughter from school, and I drove past, there's a Keno bar basically on the way to school, and the ice cream truck was parked outside there. The ice cream guy, the Ding Ding Man, was parked outside of the Keno bar, getting lit playing Keno before the kids get out of school where you can go sell them some ice cream. And in the 80s, hey, he's not working yet. Now it's kind of like, dude, you're going to be driving. Yes, I know you drive like 4 miles an hour everywhere you go, and you could probably drive 4 miles an hour completely plastered and not run any kids over, but still, you probably shouldn't be at the Keno bar before you go on your shift, driving into the Keno bar in your ice cream truck. Seriously? I mean, golly, come on now. So anyway, if it's kind of like that. It's safer to not drink, but it's never going to be safe to drive drunk, okay? It's safer to do it at 4 miles an hour, but it's never going to be safe. So basically, if you have XP or Vista, you can still use Firefox. But basically, the date is, according to ZDNet, the date is actually a generous extension of a time frame that Mozilla was looking at last December when it flagged them for going out in September of 2017. So the support was supposed to end last month, and they extended it until January of 2018 for you. So you get a few more months to figure out everything that you need to do. All right, let's see here. Okay, Roger is from South Dakota. All right, cool. So South Dakota, we actually get North Dakota and South Dakota. We have a lot of listeners there. So there's a lot of people who must relocate from Nebraska there. All right, John asks, I had to reinstall Windows 7 yesterday due to the machine no longer booting. I was having an issue on my first reinstall attempt where video from YouTube and Netflix would stop after 4 to 8 seconds on multiple browsers. Thoughts? Okay, so if you have clean install of Windows 7 and video is chopping out on you, there's a couple possibilities. You said multiple browsers, so that it's not a browser issue. So it's either an internet connectivity issue, which is the most likely case with stuttering video. It's an internet connectivity issue. Internet connectivity could be the signal coming into the house. If your cell phone can stream the video just fine, it's probably something in the computer not operating properly with the wireless. If it was wireless especially, it could be something as stupid as the placement of the wireless antennas. But look for the internet connectivity, because if you have a clean install of Windows 7 and it's happening across multiple browsers, there's nothing that
and the computer's doing everything else okay, it's not the computer that has the problem. It's either the networking hardware in the computer or the signal of the internet getting to the computer. All righty. Janie asks, I recently upgraded to Outlook 16, which I like a lot. Besides the three settings, is there a way to improve the readability or contrast? Very unimpressed either the user friendliness. Okay, so yeah, Outlook 2016 was definitely a change from the previous version. The everything's in a different place. The command key auto commands don't all do the same things as they used to do. To change the contrast of an individual program, most programs don't have they call it accessibility options built into the program. Most of the time they're built into the computer itself. So in other words, if you need a higher contrast setting, you can change to high contrast settings for the entire computer, and for visually impaired people, it gives you a better contrast setting. If that's not the case of what's going on, if it's something where you're worried more about the placement of things, Outlook is actually very, very configurable. You can open the preview pane or choose not to have the preview pane. You can have the preview pane set to be on the right or the left. You can make it wider or narrower depending on your preference. So there's a lot of different options that you can do with Outlook to make it kind of customized for what you want. Give us a call in the service center. Any of the three shops can help you with this. We're open today we're open Saturday from 10 to 8 and Sunday from noon to 5. But you can give us a call today or whenever it's convenient for you. We're happy to help you out with that. It's something we can do over a Schrock Desk. If you're a Schrock Desk subscriber, there would be no charge for the session. It's considered part of your free support. If you're not a Schrock Desk subscriber, there would be a charge for the session. It's an hour of labor, which is $110. But we can sit down and configure it all for you and make it look the way you want it to work. All right, Carol. Carol says, do I need to purchase the Schrock Safe upgrade for just computers that have Windows 10 or even the ones that have Windows 7? Great question, Carol. You only need the Schrock Safe upgrade for Windows 10 computers. Anything running a different version of Windows is not going to get the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. So the only computers that need Schrock Safe upgrade are Windows 10 computers. All right. So thank you, Mark, for Mark was copying and pasting those for me because I was missing them as I was talking. I'm looking at the camera and not looking over here. Keith, I didn't get to the AOL Messenger story. Oh, golly. Let's see. AOL Messenger. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Reinstall Google Chrome. Good job, Ronnie. All right. Hopefully it works out. AOL Messenger. If you remember AOL Messenger, it was like the first main, big-time consumer chat program that you could use to chat with your friends and send little GIFs and things like that to each other. It was like the precursor to text messaging. AOL is getting rid of it in December. It's going bye-bye. It's retired. And AOL looks forward to bringing users other industry-defining products that change their lives. Well, that's a great sentiment, but I don't think AOL has had an industry-defining product since 1997. It's kind of like, that Husker game the other day. It's like the team of 97 is here, and it just seemed to remind you that we haven't been that good for 20 years. It's been 20 years. Man, I feel old now. Oh, my goodness, 20 years. 20 years without a title. Oh, no, that's a drought, and we're going to get beat. So yeah, the AOL Messenger is gone. I think it's gone because no one was really using it anymore, because most people didn't. You have Skype now that comes built into Windows. It does the same stuff. In fact, it's better because you can do video calls with it. So I don't know. But thanks for the reminder there, Keith. That is something I should have mentioned today. It's pretty good pop culture stuff. All right, last call for questions, guys, and then I got to get rolling here. As I mentioned, the rest of these stories, I'll be posting them throughout the week to Facebook, so watch your Facebook feeds for those. It was kind of funny. Last week I had a post, and I'm not making fun of people here, but I had to laugh a little bit because, you try to be – I try to be humorous when I post some of this stuff. And so there was an article about – we covered it last week about how supposedly the iPhone has an FM receiver built into it, and the FCC says, but Apple says there's no Wi-Fi receiver in their phones, and the FCC says you should turn on that FM receiver so we can communicate with people over their iPhones when there's an emergency, like in Puerto Rico. And so I posted this thing, and I'm like, I'll be a little funny with this. The government says the iPhone has an FM radio, and it should be turned on. Apple says it doesn't exist. Didn't someone tell these guys that video killed the radio star? Which I thought was kind of ironic, a little throwback to an 80s song there, early 80s song. And, I'm on the radio, right? And I'm not saying I'm a star, but I'm on the radio, okay? It's like a family joke. I'm an AM radio star. Woo! But anyway, and then I got a comment back, and I can't tell if she was messing with me or not. But a person commented, "Oh no, radio is not dead, especially AM. Radio is listened to more than videos on iPhones or TV. Do your research." And I liked it because I thought it was funny. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. And then I was like, I wanted to check into that because I'm like, really? More people listen to AM radio than watch videos online? That seems not true, but you never know. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet, though. So if you happen to know that, trivial knowledge, feel free to pop that in on the show as well. All righty, guys. So Gail asked, how is listenership measured? Oh, wow. Listenership is measured. Technically, they get a ratings book, although KFOR has not purchased a ratings book in a while. They've had some issues. They've had staff turnover. They've been bought by 3 different media groups over there. There's a constant push for better online content, a constant cutting of personnel budget, this is not a KFOR thing. This is the entire radio industry. Every station, including the one I'm on now, has the same issues. It used to be you had a bench that was 3 or 4 or 5 people deep. When my producer gets sick, Scott Voorhees came in last week and did my show with me. So that's how deep the bench is, that I get like an A-lister to come in here and do my show with me. As a producer on the board, he's not even cracking a mic. So that I was honored. I was kind of giddy a little bit. But anyway, so listenership is measured. Basically, there's a tune-in, tune-out ratio. So on Facebook, listenership is measured in 10-second views. How many people watched for 10 seconds or longer? This video today so far has had 91 10-second views. 91 people chose to watch it for a minimum of 10 seconds. All right, so with sound on, 65% of those people had their sound on, and sound off, people who just scrolled by. And said, is he doing anything interesting? Is he about to take his purple shirt off? Or is it brown? I don't know. No, he's not. Okay, whatever. Yeah, you wouldn't stick around for that. We'd see the video views just drop like a rock. But listenership on regular terrestrial radio is measured in 15-minute tune-in, tune-out blocks. So how many people listen for at least 15 minutes at a given point in time as a percentage of the total people listening to the radio in that market at that moment. So you have a certain fixed number of people who the statistically can be estimated are listening to terrestrial radio at that moment. These are people who are not listening to XM. They're not people who are streaming. They're people who are listening to the radio in their car or in their home. And KFOR for years had an audience of people that would turn on KFOR in the morning in their house and leave it on all day. It would just be on. It would be ever present. And throughout the day, they got to know the personalities that were on the station, and they felt kind of comfortable with them, like they were their friends, and they could trust what they were saying. And KFOR was not the place for political talk. If you wanted political talk, you'd go to KLIN, and you'd hear Rush, and you'd hear Hannity, and you'd hear Glenn Beck, and all the guys do their political thing. If you wanted local folksy talk with a little bit of old music mixed into it on AM, you would go to KFOR. And that's what they were known for. That was their wheelhouse. Well, they had consultant after consultant after consultant come in and tell them, your audience is dying. They're physically dropping dead. They're so old. And if you listen to the commercials, it's all commercials for like funeral homes and retirement communities. It's like, come on, you know who the target demo is over here. Well, they just basically said, well, we need to get younger people. So how do we do that? Well, let's young up the music a little bit. Let's bring it forward from the 60s into the late 70s, early 80s, maybe even a little bit into the 90s for the bumper music. Let's bring on some younger air talent. Let's focus less on music and more on content. And what kind of content do we have to talk about? Well, let's do political talk. And they brought on some B-list, political talkers, and the response was overwhelmingly negative. People were not there to hear political talk. People tuned out, and it started a death spiral. And so basically, of the percentage of people in Lincoln listening to radio, they measure it in shares. And according to the book that the other stations pay for, that we were able to see how much the listenership was there, it was less. It was almost unmeasurable is how bad it was. I'm being generous when I say 92 people were listening to our show on KFOR. Generous. The callers, and we could hear it. The callers were great, but they were the same people every week. There was nothing throughout the week bringing in new listeners. And it was a transition, and all stations go through transitions. When I was a kid, Sweet 98 was Sweet 98. And then they became Q98 for a while because they were cool, millennial and everything. And now guess what? It's Sweet 98 again. Everything comes full circle, guys. So radio stations go through these transformations, and whenever they change, they always lose listeners who don't want to move with them. But then the listeners a lot of times will come back because they realize there's not any other place to go. Now, the difference now is you have a lot of places to go. You can go online. You can go XM, you can go Spotify, you can go Pandora, you can go iHeartRadio, you can make your custom radio station, you can go Amazon Prime and get your Prime subscription. You get all kinds of free music with that. You can listen to all kinds of stuff all day long for free. Well, basically, we looked at it and said, well, we could go to KLIN. Well, KLIN had easily 100 people plus listening in the time slot they gave us, which was Sunday afternoon. So we could have moved the show from KFOR to KLIN, but Sunday afternoon is not as good of a time slot as Saturday morning. Saturday morning, people are out and about doing things. Sunday afternoon, people are at home. And people at home don't tend to listen to talk radio at home. They tend to listen to it on the go. There's always exceptions, but the vast majority don't listen to it at home. They're watching TV, they're doing football, they're doing other things at home. The KLIN audience is a much younger audience. So we'd have been fine with the audience, but it's just, for moving the show and doing everything else, we're going to lose these people we have on KFOR, and there's a little bit of loyalty to KFOR. That's where we got started. You don't just throw something like that away because it's having a tough time. So we decided we were going to stay on KFOR. We were going to use one unified show to do that, though. So we could take all the money we were dumping into doing two shows, dump it into one show and make a better show. So you've heard new spots. You have new content like the Facebook live streaming. We never were doing that before. Just logistically, the things that we couldn't do multiple times a week that we can do once a week. All right. Let's see. AM is around 58.8 million people, but FM is 274.53. YouTube has 1 billion hours pre-day. Yeah. So that's the thing. Listenership, there are more people watching videos online than listen to AM radio, I'm sorry to say. A lot more. A lot more. And, how do you deal with things like this right now, right? Like you're watching a video online, but technically, are you listening? No, because when we went off the air, we're not on AM radio anymore. Now we're just on Facebook. So you're actually doing both, It's like, how do you measure that? Nielsen has no idea. All right, so guys, I got to wrap it up here. I appreciate you sticking with us for the Aftershock. Let me double check, make sure there's no questions I missed here. Shock Safe upgrade, if you've been putting it off, guys, now is the time to do it. 62 left is what I saw at the start of the show today. I have to be careful not to say exact numbers on the air because, of course, this show will replay 1 week later in Lincoln. And I don't want to say 62 and then have them come back and see a sold out sign. So I went ahead and said, okay, here we go. We've got 54 remaining or 26 remaining or, whatever. We try to give an accurate number. I think I said we had a little up, 65 or so remaining. We literally sold 10 during the show, guys. So, yeah, if you've been putting it off, now is definitely the time to take advantage of that and do that. Otherwise, I will see everybody tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Shock Safe upgrade on the Morning Blend tomorrow, KMTV Channel 3 at 9:45. We'll be joking about the Mac picture for sure. So if you haven't seen that yet, you can watch KMTV Channel 3 tomorrow, or you can check it out on Facebook once we get the video from them, we'll go ahead and post it so you guys in Lincoln and other areas that aren't local can watch the video as well. All right, thanks for staying with us, guys. Have a great afternoon and a great week. We'll see you again next Sunday for another edition of Compute This.